What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio Robinson YouTube channel, where we ramble about Washington Commanders, our beloved Washington Commanders. Today is Saturday, August 19th, and today marked the conclusion of 2023 training camp for our Commanders. It's over, guys. We're that much closer. We're 3 weekends of sleep away from Washington's home opener and season debut versus the Arizona Cardinals on September 10th. But today was the last practice of the training camp period, so I figure it's time to just surmise in a summary, a conclusion of training camp, where we talk about my biggest takeaways. So how I'm going to structure it, it's going to be my 5 biggest takeaways I took from Ashburn this year, my 5 top stock risers, guys who did themselves the most favor, put respect on their names during this training camp, and 3 players I need to see a lot more from in these next 2 preseason games. Because as pointless as preseason games can be, for guys looking to carve a niche on a roster and crack that final 53, or even get on a practice squad, or even if you don't make the team you're on, you're putting out tape for the other 31 teams in the league and the opponents that you're playing against. So I'm looking at top 5 stock risers, top 5 takeaways, top 3 players. I need to see a lot more. But before we get to it, as you can see in the top left of this overlay right now, the boy got an announcement. I will be a content contributor for the Washington Commanders for the Bleacher Report app. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to my guy, Josh Taylor, putting in a word for your boy. I will be a paid content contributor for Bleacher Report for our Washington Commanders, making my debut live stream on the Bleacher Report app this Monday, the 21st, immediately following Washington's matchup against Baltimore on Monday Night Football, the game where the streak is on the line. You know, the streak that the Baltimore Ravens have. 24 preseason games in a row. That one's on the line on Monday when Washington hosts them at FedEx Field in a preseason game after having joint practices with them. Shout out to all of you guys that subscribe to the channel, that always comment, that interact in the live stream. Those have been rocking, watching me since day one in the comments on social media. Whenever you run into me at the stadium, y'all are what makes this thing go. I love making the content. I love pushing it out for you guys, but you guys are the ones who make this thing go. Y'all are the cog to this machine. And for those of you who want to start content creation on your own, don't let anybody stop you from doing so. Do what makes you happy in this life. Put everything you've got into it. Chase your passions. And my only advice for you would be yourself. People come for the content, but they stay for you. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about the Washington Commanders. First training camp under new ownership. So takeaway 1 out of 5 would be the vibes are indeed immaculate again for Washington. The vibes are immaculate. Celebrity turnout. We're rolling the red carpet out for someone each week, every other day of practice. We bringing out KD. We bringing out the governors who are courting the team. You know, everybody's putting their bid in for the stadium, the new venue situation. We're talking to Virginia, Maryland, and DC. New headquarters, because while there's been a lot of upgrades to North of Virginia Training Center at Commanders Park, that headquarters is not going to cut it in the 2023 NFL. I don't know if you guys have seen the Minnesota Vikings ridiculous headquarters, or the Raiders, or all these new ones being built. They're state-of-the-art, innovative, tech-savvy, glorious pieces of architecture. So it's more than a stadium that's coming in the new. And we're getting our sponsors back. We got a deal with Verizon, and we got our Anheuser-Busch beer deal back. You know, the money is coming now that Dan's gone. Dan was the poison of this franchise. Dan leaves, all of a sudden all doors and all avenues are available to this team again. So takeaway number 1 is just immaculate. The fan vibes. We're packing this shit out like a festival on Wednesday afternoons. Training camp attendance. I've been to training camp a handful of time the last 3 years. None of the other years compare to this one. On the big days, the back together, the kids' day, military day, it literally looks like we outdid preseason fan attendance for practice. We're not talking about the game. We talking about practice. Allen Iverson voice. But the vibes are back. The fan energy is back. While there are a lot of fans, Snyder era survivors like myself, a lot of fans couldn't take it and they cut bait with the fandom of this team during Snyder's tenure as the owner. They're back now. Everybody's back. Casual fans are back. Fans that are in the area who are on the fence and didn't have a team, free agent fans, they're here too. And you know what? F it. We welcome everybody aboard. Come on down. Join us. Join none of that keep the same energy bullshit. Join us. Come on down. Let's unite and let's bleed this burgundy and gold shit together. And let's give this team a real home field advantage on Sunday. So to wrap up, takeaway number 1, the vibes are back and they are indeed immaculate for the Washington Commanders. Takeaway number 2, Eric Bieniemy's effect on this team is real. My favorite thing that I've heard about this team in this whole entire offseason part of the year since Josh Harris bought this team is Quadre Ishmael, while talking to JP Finley and B Mitch on 106.7 The Fan, said Washington just looks more disciplined. They outworked Baltimore in day 1 of joint practices. When the hell have we ever heard the words Washington and discipline? I don't know what it means. I've never been accustomed to a Washington football team that I could say was disciplined and outworked its opponents, especially in the summertime. The last couple times we had joint practices, we got our ass mollywopped up and down the field, even when we hosted them. I remember Bill Belichick bringing the Patriots down there. And I remember that was the first time I was able to swallow my fan pride and say, yeah, Robert's not any good at this quarterback stuff, man. I remember the humbling of that. And I remember how much of a machine and how well the Patriots took practice. They took practice so seriously. It was like watching an ROTC unit and our guys were like a bunch of scabs off the street. But those days are gone because Eric Bieniemy is installing discipline to this team. And it's not just the offense. We changed the team's practice time because of Eric Bieniemy's suggestion, because he's not just the offensive coordinator. He is the assistant head coach, and he's the only coach on staff next to Ron Rivera that has that title. Not even Jack Del Rio has that title. So that tells you that there is a keen detail. There's a keen sense of detail with this team now. Those that were concerned about Eric's intensity, don't be, because this team needs this. This team's been a bottom 5 to 7 offense for the last 4 or 5 years. Every year post Kirk Cousins, they've been a bottom of the league offense. Why the hell would we not need someone to come in and crack the whip? Like, there are people who yell just to yell and that just love to hear the sound of bloviating their voices to a crowd of people. But Eric Bieniemy is yelling because he knows the magnitude of this season for not just this team, but for himself as a coach in this league, because he's been doubted. He's been interviewed countless times and left with no job. He's tired of sending in the resumes. He's tired of getting the job recommendation from Andy Reid to not get the job. He left Kansas City to spread his wings and make his own baby of an offense here in Washington. So his marriage to the quarterback and everybody on that offensive side of the ball, that energy, that charisma, it spreads throughout the team. The starting practices early thing, and then we go up to Baltimore and we outwork them boys up in Baltimore for 2 days. You can say it means more to us than it does to them, but I'll take it. I'll take my wins when I can have them. And discipline, effort, detail. The EB effect is real. That is my takeaway number 2. Takeaway number 3. other than some minor hiccups here, and I'm going to knock on wood as soon as I say this, the injury bug for the most part has flew over Ashburn. It did not make a stop. It did not hit the tarmacs at Dulles because we don't have any serious injuries right now. Knock again because, God, I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but other than Logan Thomas nursing some things, Charles Leno, Andrew Wiley nursing some things, Kendall Fuller. I think Kendall Fuller is just getting rest days because he doesn't feel like practicing because he has to be the oldest 28-year-old to have ever played football because for some reason it feels like Kendall Fuller is like 35 years old. He's only 28. Oldest 28-year-old in the history of the league. We don't have any serious injuries, especially at big position. Chase Young's quote unquote stinger that took place in the Cleveland game, I say quote unquote and put up the bunny ears because it was a self-diagnosed stinger. So Chase took his helmet off and said, I got a stinger. And they said, all right, cool. take your pads off. We'll take your word for it, champ. Stretch out, be ready for week 1. I think that was a Clutch Sports business decision, by the way. That was a Rich Paul and company. We're in a contract situation. You felt a little pinch. You know what? Hang them up till week 1. And interesting point that we'll get to a little bit later about the person that's been filling in for Chase in practice. But takeaway number 3, the injury bug, for the most part, has flew over Ashburn and has not made a stop to our training camp session. And for that, I am forever grateful because the last thing we need is an injury to this team, and especially on the offensive line, which takes me to point number 4. The offensive line does not look like a strength, but I think improved quarterback play will mask a lot of those deficiencies. The O-line definitely looks like a work in progress, anchored by third-year guy Sam Cosmi, right guard. He needs to set the tone. One, he needs to stay healthy. He needs to stay on the field for 17 weeks this season, but we need a game-changing player to set the tone for the rest of that group. And Sam Cosmi is by far 7 days a week and twice on Sunday the best lineman on this roster at the current juncture. And we need Sam Cosmi to set the tone for the rest of the guys. Andrew Wiley's first time in a game uniform in Washington could not have possibly went worse. It was an awful showing. He looked like a turnstile and a penalty machine, and he directly impacted the game and gave points to the other team. But don't fret. Don't fret. I think the line will do a good enough job to give this quarterback time to throw the ball because I think the improvement at the quarterback position will be that significant that the line doesn't have to be good. It just needs to be adequate-ish. It needs to be good adjacent, you know? It doesn't have to be good per se. But I think the line is good enough if these guys stay healthy with a lineup of Leno, Chris Paul, because I will never count Sadiq Charles in the lineup because his calves are made of silly putty and he ends up on the injury report for his calves every freaking season. So a lineup of Leno, Paul, Gates, Cosmi, and Wiley, I think, while not great, they will do a good enough job, and the quarterback play will make them look better than they actually are, and it will not be as much as a weakness as it looks like in camp and in our first preseason game, but we shall see. And my final takeaway for Washington training camp 2023 before we get the stock risers is pay Cam Curl. Pay him. Give him his money. Honestly, it's not even right to him to send him out making a 7th round contract this season. He needs a pay raise. He doesn't have to get top dollar. He doesn't have to be the highest paid safety in the league, even though that's the way things are trending when it comes to guys getting contract in the NFL. It doesn't matter if you're the best or even the best 3 or 5 at your position. When it's your time to get paid, you get paid and you reset the market. But Cam Curl should not be taking the field for $700,000 this year. I'm not trying to pocket watch, but it's public information what these guys' contracts are. And as a 7th round pick on the final year of his deal, he should not be taking the field for $700,000. I'm sorry. He's the heartbeat of the secondary. And He brings that boom, and he's getting his hands on the ball. He's corralling interceptions. He's trying to get back to his rookie year interception production. He looks as good as I've seen, as well as I've seen him since he's got to Ashburn. This is his best camp as a Washington Commander, former football team member. Pay Bam Bam Cam his money. Word to Coach Curl. But let's go to stock risers. Stock risers. Oh, no, before we get to stock risers, Ron Rivera, as we talked about yesterday, naming day. If you watch Game of Thrones, you know. Naming day. We named Sam Howell the starting quarterback for the 2023 season, which was the league's worst kept secret, which we all know all offseason. They've told every team and every media pundit that put a microphone in Ron's face, Sam Howell is the starting quarterback for this team, but they hadn't come out and named him the starter yet, despite the fact that he got 99% of the reps, the number one reps during the spring, summer portions, and training camp. And he took all the number one reps in versus Cleveland, our first preseason game, with no plans to start Brissett in any of the preseason game. So we already knew the vibrations. We knew Sam was going to get the quarterback one job, and congrats to the guy. He decided to put the work in to understand the nuances and language of this West Coast offense that Eric Bieniemy is bringing here. And they said Zach Selby in his training camp notes put that Sam speaks that language so well that he's able to help guys line up. He's able to get guys in their sets. He's able to call all the protections. You love to see that type of initiative coming from a 23-year-old quarterback who's not a rookie, but he's learning his second offense in 2 years. 2 languages in 2 years can be a daunting task. Sam, who does nothing but live ball. Ball is literally life for Sam. All that matters is football. He dived right into that playbook and hasn't skipped a beat and hasn't regressed at any point during the spring or summer. The best is yet to come. It's crazy. The day he gets named starter yesterday turns out to be his best practice. He's dotting up the defense the whole entire practice. Beautiful deep balls to Terry, Jahan. I cannot wait to see how he distributes this ball. And he Magic Johnson, distributes it to all of our weapons, the litany of weapons we have on this team, and his college roommate, who's going to start our list of stock risers for 2023. You see how we doing? You see how we segueing into the next topic? We got to get some more structure going on. We got Bleacher Report with eyes on the boys. So structure is a thing that I'm going to be paying attention to. But Bieniemy Brown, first on the list of stock risers for 2023. If you've watched my group chat pods with Jalen, Tay Todd, Alex, and Zach, we've coined a phrase originating from Jalen, who said, Bieniemy Brown just be out there running around. And I always say Bieniemy Brown just be out there for vibes and fellowship with his brothers. He's out there for friends and brotherhood vibes. But this summer, I think he finally sees it. He finally has the vision of what he needs to do. He's refined his route tree. He looks like more than a one-trick pony. He better play strength, and he's catching the ball. He was dropping a lot of passes last offseason, but you think the motivation would be there already, but seeing your boy that you went to college with and broke numbers with, who was immediately responsible for you getting drafted in the 3rd round as your quarterback now, it'll definitely get you ready like, oh, we about to go off when the season comes. So Bieniemy Brown has not bullshitted at all this offseason. He's got to work. He's flashed all summer. Another thing we talk about in the group chat, my boy said it the other day, Bieniemy Brown has to be good outside of Ashburn Park, because Bieniemy Brown has had his moments. I remember 2021 Friday Night Football at FedEx. Bieniemy Brown, his rookie year, looked like he could be the most talented receiver on the roster. But then when the game started, it didn't show up. Bieniemy has taken the bull by the horns. He looks good. He looks well-rounded. His body looks better. His routes are crisper. Shout out to the route surgeon for the work they've got done and everything they did with QB Country in North Carolina, because it's working. Bieniemy Brown looks like a focal part of the offense, and it looks like a tie for who the third receiver on the roster is between him and Curtis Samuel. I know Curtis Samuel's the chess piece that we could put in the backfield, we could put in the slot, we could put on the outside. He's the Swiss Army knife that we could put anywhere on the field. But Bieniemy Brown has been the third best receiver in training camp for the Washington Commanders behind Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin. Stock riser number 1, Sam Howell's boy, Bieniemy Brown. Stock riser number 2, rookie, 7th round pick out of Louisiana. We love our late round Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Andre Jones. Andre Jones, a name I never thought I'd be saying right now for stock risers in camp. He might be the bendiest guy we have off the edge. He's freaky, man. He's a freak of nature. He is a lot more athletic than I thought. He looks significantly more ready and more explosive off the edge than our 5th round pick that we traded up for, KJ Henry. KJ Henry looks a little sluggish, and like the speed of the game is something he's going to have to catch up to, which is normal to be expected of by a rookie, especially a rookie taken in the 5th round of the draft. But 7th round pick Andre Jones, he's not here to wait. He wants to make sure he's a roster lock. Since 99 reported a self-reported stinger, it hasn't been one of our incumbent edge rush guys, you know, the Abadas, the James Smith-Williams, the Two Hills supplanting Chase Young while he's out. It's been Andre Jones. He's been lining up with the ones all week in the joint practices opposite Montez Sweat. And I'm not going to lie, that Andre Jones, Montez Sweat length and explosion off the edge, there's something there. There is definitely something there. There's some meat left on this bone to see Andre Jones. I'm excited to see what he does in these next 2 preseason games because he's making himself inexpendable. He's making himself indispensable. He wants to be on this roster, and not only does he want to be on this roster, he's vying for some time on that field. He's trying to touch grass in FedEx when it comes to the regular season, which takes me to stock riser number 3. Mitchell Tinsley, wide receiver out of Penn State. We were talking after the 4 locks at receiver, Bieniemy, Curtis Samuel, Terry, and Jahan. Who are the next 2 receivers to fill out the receiving room, or will they have to keep 7? Well, out of that group of, we know Byron Pringle's definitely going to be one of them, so we can call them 5 locks. Who's going to get the last receiver spot, or 2 if there's 2 available? The most well-rounded receiver outside of the locks at camp has been Mitchell Tinsley. He has a very keen detail to route running. He has for sure hands. He catches everything, unlike Kazmir Allen. We're going to talk about Kaz in a second, but he catches everything thrown at him. He goes up and get it. He has a high catch radius, and he's a little bit more explosive than I thought he was too. The number's ugly. I think he's wearing like 86. Very tight end looking, but that 86 stands out on a regular basis, and he's been seeing time on the field with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett with the 1s and the 2s as well. Mitchell Tinsley, stock has rose. Number 4, probably someone whose stock has rose more as much as anyone, Percy Butler. Caught a pick last week, had a strong spring, has had a strong training camp. You hear about him flashing all over practice. The ball production is going to be there. This is like the fastest guy on the team. This is the guy, when we drafted him, I told you he had crackhead speed. The crackhead speed was on display when he caught that interception. He has immaculate recovery time. He's able to get beat and then catch up to the ball by the time that it arrives. I like what Percy Butler's putting on tape. If we can add an expendable safety to add to the tremendous safety duo we have in Derek Forrest and Cam Curl, the secondary, how far it's come. How far it's come with our starting corners being Forbes, St. Juice, and Fuller, a secondary with a 3-headed monster at safety, Percy Butler, Cam Curl, and Derek Forrest, Defoe. There is no excuse, and that would remain that there's only one weak link to the room on the defensive side of the ball, and it's the linebacker room. But the secondary and the front line may be so good it may not matter. They can suit my ass out there at linebacker, and I could probably go out there and get 100 tackles. I'm lying because I'm out of shape, but we in the gym right now. But Linebackers shouldn't even be an issue because the secondary and D-line should be that stout. And the ascension of Percy Butler in year 2 is something I got my eyes on. And our final stock riser is going to be Cole Turner, Aquaman, cool breeze, the tight end. He has definitely taken advantage of the fact that Logan Thomas has been missing practice. Logan Thomas is nursing a lower body injury. It looks like Logan, we won't see him again till week 1, but there's been a concerted effort from Howell to get Cole Turner the ball when he's out there. He still has a lot to work on as a blocker, and his routes are not the most crisp. He's a little stiff, but I like what I see, and I loved how much Sam targeted him in that first preseason game. The guy had 4 catches, the big 4th down conversion where Sam Howell had to elude the defense and roll out to the right and found Cole Turner. It just made me think, man, you just love to see it. He just looks like a big play receiver, tight end type of guy. I don't need him to be versatile. We got John Bates to block. John Bates, you do not have to worry about dropping passes because we don't need to throw them to you no more because we should have 2 pass-catching tight ends in Cole Turner and Logan Thomas. And I think I would be totally fine if Cole Turner ends up being tight end 1 week 1 when Arizona comes to town. Keep doing what you're doing. And most importantly, Cole, please stay healthy. Please stay healthy because I remember how good he looked in the first 2 weeks of camp last year before suffering an injury, and we never got to see it take place during the regular season. But those are my top stock risers for the team this year. Bieniemy Brown, Andre Jones, Cole Turner, Mitchell Tinsley, and Percy Butler. Let me know whose stock rose the most for you if it differs from mine from training camp. And to close out today's podcast, rambling about Washington, Rio Robinson on YouTube, content contributor for Bleacher Report. Make sure you click subscribe if you don't already. We're about 140 away from 8,000 and a couple thousand away from my first milestone of 10,000. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for all the real, raw, unfiltered Washington Commanders coverage. 3 players who need to show me something in these final preseason games. And one's going to surprise you. We'll start with him first. Kazmeir Allen, the little guy rocking number 10 out of UCLA. You're probably going to say, Rio, why does he need to show you something? Because Ron's favorite 2 words, everybody in the comments can probably say it at the same time as me. Position flex. Position flexibility means you can do more than one thing. You know, you're a jack of all trades instead of a master of one. Ron is in love with it. He's enamored with it. It's a prerequisite to get on his roster for bubble guys. Kazmeir Allen lacks position flex because he cannot catch the goddamn football. He looks like Orlando Jones in The Replacement during practice. He drops multiple passes a practice, but he looks like the most explosive returner. Every time he touched the ball, even if it was a 5-yard gain, it looked like it had a chance. It looked like he had a chance to make some shit shake. Dax Milne catches the punt, period, because it's over after he catches the punt. There's no wiggle. There's no agility. There's no acceleration. He catches the punt and he goes down. Kazmeir Allen catches the punt and it's like, oh. Every time you're like, oh. He looks like he's about to make something happen every time he touches it. But they wanted to use him in a Curtis Samuel type role because he has that build of a back, even though he's a little receiver, but he can't catch. He can't catch, and to be perfectly honest, his route running he leaves a lot to be desired as a route runner as well. But Kazmeir Allen, you need to take a kick to the crib. You need to take one of these punts to the crib, a screen pass to the crib. You need to get pay dirt in these next 2 home preseason games in front of the home fans. You need to make something shake and take something back. I don't even care if he gets called back for a touchdown. You need to show the ability that you can be a home run hitter for us. New Brandon Banks. Show me something. Number 2, KJ Henry. Just show me anything at this point. As someone we traded up for, you know, like we traded up for Cam Cheeseman a couple years ago, and all of a sudden we're not sure if he's a good long snapper. I need to see something from KJ Henry because I've paid attention to number 55 at the 4 camp practices I attended and in the preseason game last week. I don't see much right now. I mean, he's a 5th round rookie, so he's Definitely has to get accustomed to the speed of the league, but I don't see much that I can pull from and say, hey, I see the vision there. I don't see it right now. And show me something when you're on the field against 3s and 4s, my guy. Show me something, because Andre Jones looks like the guy we traded up for and not KJ Henry. And the number 3 on this list, circle this one, because this is the weakest unit on this roster. And we drafted this guy with our 4th round pick. Offensive lineman Braden Daniels. I think they want to keep him at tackle. He's jumping from tackle to guard, but he looks abysmal in training camp and in our first preseason game. He looks bad. He looks weak. He looks slow. He looks winded, and he looks like this game is way too fast and intense for him. This is a project pick. This one's going to take time. For starters, just show me that you can keep up with the play speed of the NFL. It does not look good, and in practice, he's looked like a fucking turnstile some days, man. I know y'all seen the clip of the other day of him getting put on his ass. Show me something, Braden Daniels, because I don't see the vision with him right now at all, and I know Mel Kiper and company said this was going to be a project pick, but right now, it don't look good at all for Braden Daniel. It just all looks bad. He just looks like they let a fan put a practice uniform on and say, have fun. Because, but he's not having much fun right now. I just show me you can keep up with the speed of players, the speed of this game, and show me some damn functional strength, because he's getting pushed back 90% of the time that I seen him in practice. Everything you've heard about him has been real meh. And whenever the media speaks of him, they speak with reservations. That should tell you all you need to know. So players I need to see more from in these next 2 preseason games, because we don't get to go back out to any more practices. Casimir Allen, KJ Henry, Braden Daniels. You see the theme there. It's all 3 rookies. One of them's undrafted. 2 of them are draft picks. But show me something. Anything. Show me a glimpse of a flash of adequacy. And Casimir Allen, you need to do something explosive. You need to make some shit shake to the crib. I need to see it in these next 2 preseason games coming up, especially the final one. This is the last time we're going to see a starter or a backup of any kind versus the Ravens. The final game, the Saturday game versus Cincinnati, we're not going to see anybody that has a roster spot locked up. They're all going to be in street clothes. They're not even going to have shoulder pads on. They're going to have hats to the back and jerseys on watching it. It's going to look like a summer camp. That's what it's going to be, a bunch of cargo shirts, shorts, and jerseys on Saturday versus the Bengals. So that's the game, guys like Mitchell Tinsley, Casimir Allen, Braden Dan. That's the game where you really earn your check in this league, and you earn yourself a roster spot, a practice squad spot, or some great tape to put out for the other 30 teams that did not see you at all this preseason. But that is my in detail summary of Washington Commanders training camp for 2023. I enjoyed being back out there. The aesthetic at camp gives me so much promise of what's to come once FedEx Field opens up Monday. And in the regular season, I expect Monday's Monday night game to have the atmosphere of a regular season game, because we get our Beltway brothers, the Baltimore Ravens, and it's the first time Josh Harris gets to see home fans. The excitement is back. The possibilities are endless, and Washington can just be a football team now, and fans are not going to have to worry about all the off-the-field shenanigans, circus-like shit show that plagued us the 24 years under the predecessor owner of this team. We survived it. We made it out the other side. Now let's prosper. That's all I got for right now. Commander Rio Robinson appreciates every single one of y'all. I'll have the link coming up on the channel and on social media. Make sure you download that Bleacher Report app. We're going live on the Bleacher Report app as soon as the game ends. Ravens versus Washington on Monday. I set it for 11 o'clock. It'll probably be around then or a little bit later or faster, because it's preseason. Maybe they get it done. Maybe they get in and out there sooner than that. But we're shooting for 11 to 11:30. So it's going to be a 30-minute post-game stream. Pull up, Follow me on Bleacher Report, and let's bring the Washington burgundy and gold vibes over to another platform. That's all I got for right now. Hell, get your hat at wshonthedaily.com. Until next time, peace.